Emma, a young woman from a quiet town, had always dreamed of becoming a mother. Since she was a child, the idea of taking care of a new life filled her heart with joy and expectation. So, when one sunny morning she felt a change in her body, she decided to take a pregnancy test. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our stories. Her heart was pounding as she waited for the results, and when the two long-awaited lines finally appeared, she was overwhelmed by a flood of emotions. Her hands were shaking as she held the test, and without thinking twice, she immediately ran to find her husband Marco, who was working in the garden. "Marco!" she cried, unable to contain her joy. He turned, seeing the excitement shining in Emma's eyes. "What's going on?" she asked, dropping her tools. "We're having a baby," she exclaimed, tears in her eyes and her voice shaking with emotion. Marco lifted her into the air, laughing and crying with her. The news spread quickly among friends and family, and soon their house was filled with celebrations, well wishes, and gifts for their unborn child. It seemed that life was finally making their greatest dream come true. The first weeks of pregnancy went smoothly. The couple immediately began preparing for the baby's arrival, transforming the guest room into a cozy and bright nursery. The walls were painted a delicate pastel yellow and decorated with animal figures. Emma spent hours choosing furniture, clothes, and accessories, while Marco, with patience and precision, carefully assembled each piece. The days passed full of anticipation and hope, with the joy of knowing that soon they would hold their baby in their arms. But after a few months, small warning signs began to appear. During a checkup, Dr. Rossi, Emma's doctor, noticed something unusual on the ultrasound. "There's a slight placental abruption," she said calmly. "It's not uncommon, but you'll need to rest and take some precautions." Emma tried to keep a positive attitude, even though a subtle worry was starting to grow inside her. She scrupulously followed the doctor's instructions: complete rest, no stress, and frequent checkups. Despite this, the situation continued to worsen. During a subsequent visit, Dr. Rossi informed Emma of a new complication: preeclampsia, a dangerous condition for both mother and baby. The news cast a shadow of apprehension over Emma and Marco, who were trying to stay strong despite the weight of the situation. Emma's family rallied around her, with her mother, Lucia, moving into their home to help with the household chores and ensure that Emma could get as much rest as possible. Time seemed to slow down, and the tension grew day by day. Every sign, even the smallest, became a source of anxiety. The doctor visits became more and more frequent, and each appointment with Dr. Rossi was a mixture of hope and fear. The house, which once resounded with joy, was now immersed in a worried silence. Finally, the long-awaited day of delivery arrived. Emma woke up that morning feeling that something had changed. Marco, at her side, smiled sweetly, but the nervousness was evident in his eyes. The journey to the hospital was a mixture of anxiety and excitement. When they arrived, the medical staff was already ready, informed of Emma's complex situation. The contractions became stronger and stronger, and as time passed, the baby's heartbeat began to slow. Dr. Rossi, visibly concerned, immediately raised the alarm. "The baby is in distress," she announced. "We need to proceed immediately with an emergency C-section." Emma, her heart in her throat, looked at Marco. He, Trying to remain calm, squeezed her hand tightly and told her that everything would be fine, even though inside he feared the worst. In the operating room, the atmosphere was tense. Dr. Rossi and her team worked tirelessly, and finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the sound of a baby girl's cry filled the air. "It's a girl," the doctor announced with a tired but happy smile. But the joy was short-lived. Emma's situation was critical. She was losing a lot of blood, and every attempt to stop the bleeding seemed futile. Are you enjoying this story? Before you see how it ends, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Marco watched helplessly as the doctors fought to save his wife. Nurses rushed back and forth, preparing transfusions and administering drugs, but time seemed to be against them. Emma was on the brink of death. The monitors indicated cardiac arrest, and Dr. Rossi immediately reached for the defibrillator. The first shock failed. The tension in the room was unbearable. The second attempt, however, brought hope. Emma's heart began beating again, albeit weakly. "We have a pulse," Dr. Rossi said in a firm but hopeful voice. "But it's still unstable." The medical team continued to work frantically to stabilize her, and slowly, Emma's vital signs began to improve. Marco, who had never let go of her hand, felt a spark of hope light up. "You're doing this, love," he whispered, looking down at their daughter, now snuggled into Emma's chest. The room, once filled with fear, was filled with a surreal calm. The miracle of life had happened. Emma, still exhausted, opened her eyes and looked at her little girl. In a weak voice, she whispered, "Our warrior." The next few weeks were filled with hardship, but also with immense gratitude. Emma slowly recovered, surrounded by the love of her family and friends. Every day with her baby was a precious gift, and the experience of almost losing everything taught her to take nothing for granted. Emma and Marco, deeply grateful for the miracle they had experienced, promised each other to never let the frenzy of everyday life obscure the importance of every single moment spent with their little girl. Aware of how fragile and precious life was, they decided to celebrate not only the special moments, but also the simple and ordinary ones, knowing that every smile, every hug, and every little progress of their daughter was a priceless gift to be cherished with love and gratitude. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next time.